Ever wondered why the mere thought of speaking up often sends chills down your spine? It's a question that resonates with many of us. Speaking up, standing our ground, setting boundaries. These are actions that can cause a cold knot of fear in our stomachs. But why? Well, the answer lies in the fact that we are all part of a universal experience. The fear of speaking up is not a solitary affliction, it's a common thread that binds us all. We all have moments where we bite our tongues, hold back our thoughts, or let the moment pass us by. This fear is like an invisible barrier, a wall that stands between us and the freedom to express ourselves. But what if we could understand this fear? What if we could unravel its psychological roots and learn how to overcome it? Well, that's precisely what we're here to explore. So let's delve into why this fear is so common and how it affects us. Why does speaking up feel like a daunting task? It's a question that leaves many of us scratching our heads, isn't it? Well, let's dive into the psychology behind this fear. At the heart of it, the fear of speaking up is often tied to a few key fears. First up is the fear of rejection. Humans are social creatures. We crave acceptance and belonging. So when we contemplate speaking up, we're subconsciously afraid that people might reject our ideas or even us as individuals. This fear of rejection can be paralyzing, causing us to hold our tongues even when we have something important to say. Next, we have the fear of conflict. Many people are conflict averse, preferring to maintain harmony rather than stir the pot. This fear of conflict can be traced back to our early years, where we may have witnessed or been involved in uncomfortable confrontations. Because of these experiences, we equate speaking up with conflict, making us hesitant to voice our thoughts and opinions. Then there's the fear of criticism. We often worry that if we speak up, we'll open ourselves up to critique. This fear is magnified when we lack confidence in our ideas or ourselves. We dread the thought of our words being dissected and scrutinized, fearing that it might reveal our inadequacies or mistakes. Lastly, we have the fear of ostracism. This is the fear of being excluded or marginalized if we voice out our opinions. It's an innate fear that stems from our primal need for social cohesion. We feel that if we upset the status quo, we might end up being cast out. Underlying all these fears is the influence of past experiences and societal conditioning. We've been taught to value harmony over discord, conformity over individuality, and silence over dissent. This conditioning has wired us to fear the consequences of speaking up. Thus, it's apparent that this fear is more about us and our perceptions, rather than the act of speaking up itself. Understanding this is the first step towards overcoming the fear and finding our voice. So let's keep this conversation going and delve into ways we can conquer this fear in the next segment. So what have we learned about the fear of speaking up? Well, a major takeaway is that this fear is quite common. It's not just you. Many folks out there grapple with the same anxiety. Delving deeper, we uncovered the psychological roots of this fear. It often stems from past experiences like being criticized or dismissed when we've tried to express ourselves. This fear can also be linked to negative self-perception or an overestimation of the potential negative outcomes. However, the most enlightening revelation is that this fear is more about our perceptions than the act of speaking up itself. It's our internal narrative that often holds us back. We tend to anticipate rejection or ridicule, which may not be the reality. So the crux of the matter is this: it's not about changing the world around us, but rather about changing our perspective. Keep these points in mind the next time you find yourself hesitating to voice your thoughts. Now, how can we overcome this fear and start asserting ourselves? The first step is understanding the root of the fear. Is it a fear of rejection, a fear of conflict, or a fear of being seen as difficult? Identifying the source of your fear is the foundation for overcoming it. Next, reframe the fear as an opportunity. Instead of viewing speaking up as a potential for conflict, see it as a chance to express your perspective and contribute to the conversation. This shift in perspective can make the act of speaking up less intimidating. Thirdly, practice speaking up in safe environments. This could be among friends, family, or in a supportive group setting. Practicing in a low-risk environment can build your confidence and make speaking up in more challenging situations easier. Lastly, if the fear is overwhelming, don't hesitate to seek professional help. Therapists and coaches can provide valuable tools and strategies to help you navigate your fear. Remember, speaking up is a skill that can be honed over time, and with practice, you can overcome your fears and start asserting yourself.